Welcome to another episode of Royal Rumble. Please stand by for the upcoming fight. This time, the High Elves will face up against Bretonnia.
So welcome to another episode of Royal Rumble and thank you for tuning in. In this episode I'm playing the High Elves and I'm facing up against Bretonnia. So very cool over here. So I cannot tell any or cannot say a lot of stuff to this matchup over here. Also I just begun to with the matches, with the Mortal Empire matches, Old World versus New World. So I'm not sure, but I think the High Elves are very heavily armored and also causing a lot of armor-piercing damage, so it's quite difficult for the Bretonnian infantry to compete against them. But as I always say, Bretonnia has a lot of tools, a lot of variation of the cavalry, so I think overall Bretonnia should be able to win over here, or should be able, or the matchup is in favor for Bretonnia overall, I would say, but I'm not sure. Also, the Bretonnia has the Royal Pegasus Knights for sniping out some dragons, sun dragons, or also Flamespreader Phoenixes and all that stuff. So, but I'm not sure, as I say. So I would guess Bretonnia is in favor, but yeah, we will see how this match over here goes. So let's start with the army composition over here. You can see I have 4 units of white lines of Grace in my front line, and I think this white lines of Grace are really steady, especially in this matchup, because Bretonnia is typically not so heavily armored, so just not so much. So units are mid-range armor or not so high, and I think white lines of Grace are enough to compete against them, even against foot squires. So we have our armor piercing amount of 26, and also the weapon strength is quite huge. The melee stats are very good, and as I always say, this is a quite cost efficient unit. Overall for 8 you can deploy them for 800 credits. Then I have on my sides spearmen, of course, protecting my sides or my army corps here from flankings of enemy cavalry, typically for Bretonnia, of course. Then I also protecting my backline with spearmen over here, my inner side, to protect my archers over here, and I have 3 of them. And the front line I have also Phoenix Guard, because in my opinion they are quite steady even against infantry, but you can also see now I pulled them out over here to, because you can see on the sides over here on the left and on the right side, my opponent brought a lot of cavalry over here, and to compete also on my flanks over here quite well, I pulled them out over here to fight against them. Then I have Tyrion is my lord, leading my army over here, and on the side I have an additional noble, always good, for example, to compete against or to fight against the King Leoncoeur on the Hippogriff over here, and all that stuff. So also good to fight against other cavalry units, because the noble has an anti-large bonus. So let's go to my army composition of my opponent. We can see over here we have 4 squires in the front line, of course, to get through this heavy armor of the High Elves. We have battle pilgrims, causing in fact not that much damage, not that much armor piercing damage. Is really good, but the armor piercing amount is quite low. So in this matchup I would leave them out, because everything on the side of the High Elves is really heavily armored. Then we have our Grail Reliquae, or 2 Grail Reliquae. What is, of course, it's too much. Of course, we have just these little group of infantry. So, in my opinion, Grail Reliquae overall would not be necessary over here, not be important, because just 4 infantry units, and the battle pilgrims are naturally have naturally a good leadership, and also the foot squires. And the backline 1 unit of peasant bowmen and a King Leoncoeur. Then on the side we have Knights of the Realm and a group of Grey Knights, and on the other side the same thing, Knights Errants over here and Knights of the Realm over here. And over here on the back line, Pegasus Knights. So not the Royal Pegasus Knights. We have just here this Pegasus Knights, but also these guys have an anti-large bonus, I think. But yeah, let's see how this goes. And let's start over here. So you can see he overcommitted a little bit with his King Louis Leoncoeur and directly flying my group of archers. But you can see also I directly attacked him with my Tyrion over here, and also the noble comes in over here. And you can see on the back line I sniped out his peasant bowmen quite fast, because I think the archers outranged them. So 160 range on the side of the peasant bowman, and on the side of the archers we have 180, so you always outrange the peasant bowman. Then we have here, yeah, this was a try over here to charge in, but you can clearly see I directly sent my Phoenix Guard and my Spearmen after his cavalry units. The frontline fight actually works quite well for him, so we can clearly see we have the foot squares perform very well against the white lines of Grace, and also this white lines of Grace now gets terrified, routes off over here. So the performance of the Battle Pilgrims actually is quite good. So yeah, I don't know. Let's take a look over here. Let's see. The White Lines of Grace are also very heavily armored, so it's, in my opinion, yeah, strange that the Battle Pilgrims perform good against them. But yeah, anyway, what it seems. And you can see over here my Spearman and all this Phoenix Guard are hunting his cavalry, and this was a wide fight because he pushed over all this way through the front line. But you can also see I damaged his King Louis Leoncoeur quite much with my Tyrion and with the noble. So the Goon squad with a noble and Tyrion, or two nobles and Tyrion, is very, very strong. The noble has an anti-large bonus, and also Tyrion is a monster. Tyrion should be the best melee combat fighter when you take a look, or when you compare them, when you compare all fighters on foot without a mount. So Tyrion is a very strong lord, and can take out, I think, King Louis Leoncoeur also alone. But I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure. So my noble took a lot of damage actually, I think, also from King Louis Leoncoeur. See the cycle charge here on the back line. The spearmen are quite steady, and so the Knights of the Realm. Yeah. So it's very important also to bring all these anti-large units. Phoenix Guard, of course, is so steady, and also the spearmen to compete against Bretonnia with all these cavalry units. So on this side, also the spearmen get quite sandwiched over here from Knights Errant and Knights of the Realm, but still steady over here fighting these cavalry units. So this was a very good performance. And the spearmen, as all of you know, are quite cheap unit. I think 450 credits. That was quite good. And of course, against the Phoenix Guard, they have no chance over here. King Louis Leoncoeur is still steady and really but he's very low on health. Will now get killed from my Phoenix Guard, I think. Quite interesting match, of course. This is the first try over here on both sides, of course, of my opponent also, just for testing this. And yeah, I'm not sure what is the best way to compete with the High Elves against Bretonnia, but I think it's quite good to bring a lot of Spearmen and also Phoenix Guard, in my opinion, quite important. Because if you bring Phoenix Guards, of course they're very expensive, but two Phoenix Guards are quite good. And the spearmen, they can compete, really well against all this cavalry. And the White Lions of Grace, of course, they get heavily damaged. I'm not sure what was the reason for that, because in my opinion the Battle Pilgrims should not perform quite well against them. I'm not sure about that. Was the reason over here. You can see a lot of kills over here. I'm not sure what is the reason, because they're causing actually nearly no armor piercing, and the White Lions of Grace are heavily armored, but yeah, the performance was quite good. On the side of Bretonnia, what can you do with Bretonnia? I think to ring foot squares is always good, and also to use cavalry. But of course you have to manage a little bit micromanagement over here, not to get engaged in spearmen or Phoenix Guard and all that stuff. So thank you. Maybe in the next episode, in this matchup, I can tell you more about that. But this for today, and thank you for tuning in, and see you on the next episode. Thank you.